Hello, Alan here, the Urban Arcade, and this is my Tekken random stories for the PlayStation 1. Now, first I'll start off with how I started playing games. Obviously I was playing a lot of 2D games. The year is 1996, and I'm still playing games like Mortal Kombat 2, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Super Street Fighter, and also games like Mario. So everything 2D, including Sonic and some other classics. Now, to me at the time, nothing can get as good as this. I know there's other consoles around the corner and already out, but you couldn't convince me to go and play them. I just couldn't get used to the 3D element of games. I like them this way, innocent, easy to play. And I noticed a big emphasis on games turning 3D. That's all everyone was talking about. If it wasn't 3D, you didn't see it. And 2D games started disappearing. Even Sonic became 3D. A bit much for me. Now, I played a game called Virtual Fighter and I didn't like it. It was very blocky. I thought, this can't be the future. You couldn't convince me this was as good as this. This to me was the way games were meant to be played. And I just couldn't do it. You couldn't convince me at all. Enter the PlayStation. Sony PlayStation. An adult's console. That's how it was aimed. Now, my first game for the Sony PlayStation was Tomb Raider. And I couldn't believe the controls on this console were so different. It felt like it was made for adults only. It was an aggressive ad campaign showing it's for adults and not for children. And the controllers from a 3-button controller that I had on the Sega Mega Drive to this was way too baffling for me. It took me ages to get used to it. And that you were on an overhead view, a third-person perspective, I couldn't get used to it. It was completely different. Now, within a short space of time, I managed to get 3 games within a space of 2 weeks. So Tomb Raider, as well as that, was the one I was playing most of. Then I thought, fighting games on the PlayStation? What's that going to be like? On the PlayStation itself, it came with a demo called Demo 1, introducing all of the aspects that the Sony PlayStation had to offer. And it looked crazy. It was so advanced. It showed you that this console wasn't just a console. It was futuristic, it was out of this world. There was so much you could do with it. And there was a memory card of it, so you saved your data to a memory card that you could then continue your gameplay to exactly where you left off. A bit much for me at the time, as it was very technical and I was a very young kid. So, the PlayStation being the new console I had, and the first game being Tomb Raider, then along with Tekken and Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Now, at the time, this was crazy, a 3D fighting game.
The King of Iron Fist Tournament. Check in.
Now you start the game with Galaga, a classic Namco game that I never played until playing Tekken 1. But it was nice there. I mean, there was a secret hidden unlockable character if you could reach a certain stage, which I couldn't manage to do for this video, sorry. And the intro to everything about this, just showing you that 3D is right in your face and it's here to stay. It was beautiful, the visuals were crazy, and I was thinking to myself, am I going to be able to get used to this? I mean, I love Street Fighter, I love Mortal Kombat, I love all the other games, and I don't like Virtual Fighter. Sorry, I just could not get into it. The moon physics of every jump you did just wasn't for me. And seeing these characters thinking, who's this meant to be? Oh right, oh look, Bruce Lee. Another Bruce Lee clone. And I kept thinking to myself, I'm not going to be able to get into these characters, and kept comparing them to guys from Street Fighter. Look, he looks like Guile. You know, that's all that went through my mind at the time. Oh look, Sagat Scar and Ryu's sort of clothes. Oh well, something I'll have to get used to. No one's talking about Sega Mega Drive and the SNES anymore. I guess I've got no choice. I literally had this in mind this way. Well, we start the game. On the title screen, Tekken with some Japanese symbols. I think they mean Iron Fist. And there is 8 playable characters, including a number of hidden characters and hidden outfits. And Yotsumitsu, the first character you can select in order. And I never knew what he was. Was he a ninja? Was he a robot? A knight? I didn't know. But he was crazy. You know, he was one of my favourite characters in the sense that he had crazy moves, used to fall over and get dizzy. Nina was an assassin, perfect with her judo moves and bone breakers. A very aggressive woman for a fighting game. And then the Bruce Lee clone Law, which, come on, every game was guilty of cloning a character from Bruce Lee. You know, there's Fei Long, Liu Kang, I loved Law though, he actually went on to be my favourite character. And Kazuya, I'd imagine the main character, because everything was based around him. He was very aggressive, very powerful, and you could see that if you learnt how to use him perfectly, you'd be a master at Tekken. Paul Phoenix, or just Paul on this, reminded me of a cross between Guile and Ken. Ken on the side that his costume was red, or his karate suit. Then Jack, obviously meant to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger from Terminator, with the red eyes, a cyborg, but I found him so amusing, such a caricature-like body. And King, I never knew if he was half man, half beast or what at the time. Was it just a mask? Yeah, but he was like a wrestler. And he was crazy. I loved the growls he made every time you had a fight with someone. Some dodgy moves as well. Loved them. And then Michelle. I never really knew too much about Michelle, but she was a good character. More like a wrestler again. Very speedy with some powerful backbreaker moves. And Tekken was originally released in the arcades around '94. Now I did see it in the arcades, but it was kind of weird. It was one of them games again I didn't want to approach. Funny enough, I saw it recently in an arcade, and people were still playing it, funny enough, and I weren't allowed to record it. Obviously, being in some London arcades, they tell you to turn your camera off, so you don't really have any choice but to just watch them and watch people playing them. So that's quite a shame. Not too many differences between the arcade version and the PlayStation version. Apart from there is no endings, not like what you get on the PlayStation, and you don't get that big intro. You just get a minor little cutscene, and you get animated character select screen as well. So when you select a character, you see a slight animation, which is kind of funny considering that it's not on the PlayStation 1, and some of the faces they pulled are priceless. But I did play it in the arcades. I played Tekken 2 more though when it comes to the arcades, because there was one near my school, so when I was waiting for a bus, sometimes I'd play it. And that's kind of what got me into Tekken 2, along with the demo that was released, and everyone played it. Now I'm going to play through it on the PlayStation 1 version of the game, with King. You know, his beastly sounds every time he threw a punch or kick or got hit. I just loved it. And I started getting used to it. I played it a lot, and then I got a second controller. It was a generic PlayStation 1 controller at the time, but playing this versus everyone was so good. I mean, I got so good at the game too, and it was one of them things I couldn't see myself enjoying it like I did the 2D fighting games. It was something that really surprised me. I was enjoying Tekken as if I was playing Street Fighter 2 or Mortal Kombat. I then began to notice that a lot of my friends were picking up Tekken, so it was one of them things that I'd go to their house and they had it as well. And I was quite surprised by that, because I thought it was only me that had it. I started playing it with my dad, and I sort of became the best person I knew at Tekken 1. But the only thing is, I'm not so good now. But although I did play it all the way through with every character on every setting, just to get a feel of it again, and it was very hard this time around, to be honest with you. But not to say that I didn't love it. I mean, it's very nostalgic, and it's progressed a lot through the years. It now is a professional tournament fighting game, so people from all over the world go to competitions and compete, and there's some really amazing players, just like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, you know, you name it. There's really good competition for Tekken now, and I'd get my ass handed to me when I play it online. I sometimes do, and I'll just have a quick go on it, and everyone I play is like a super player, and I've got no way against them. I can't even win a round. I can sometimes. I mean, Tekken's made that new Tekken Revolution that you can play for free, and that's amazing. That's a good idea they're using the side of the indie gamers, and you know, it's doing well. I play that now, but again, I lose a lot. But yeah, this is just taking you back to a time where games were very innocent, very new and experimental, and the PlayStation 1 was just starting. It was getting bigger and bigger, and I had the console, and you know, a 3D game, a 3D fighting game was just a bit much, you know, and then when I noticed I started to like it, I thought everything had changed. I would then stick on Street Fighter 2 or Mortal Kombat Trilogy, and Mortal Kombat Trilogy was on the PlayStation, but it was still 2D, it kind of lost it. And I can see why every game afterwards had them 3D arenas, you know, and all the characters were 3D. It was to sort of get in with this. I mean, Mortal Kombat 4, I remember when that went 3D, but it was quite good. I was quite surprised. And then I thought every game was going to be 3D now, which was the case to an extent. It's funny how a lot of games have gone back to 2D, but with 3D characters. And Hayachi, if that's how you pronounce it, he was very overpowered and so hard. You could complete this game very quickly, considering that you was good at it and you knew how to play it, and you know, you set it to 1 round, you could complete this game in a matter of 3 to 5 minutes. I didn't know too much of the backstory to this game, but now I know it. I've been looking it up and it has a good story. All I did know is that the replays and the character poses whenever they won were perfect, and the endings, if anything, they were beastly. They were so funny as well. Have a look. An ending for every character, including loads and loads of Easter eggs and hidden content. One being that you could see Hayachi fight in the attract mode if you left it and held L1, L2, R1, R2, so you'd get to see him fight. Not only that, but you could actually unlock him by completing the game without losing 1 round, and I managed to do it this time round as well, which is kind of funny because I didn't expect it, and it was quite hard as well. But I did it just for this video, so I played through it quite a lot, and I had a lot of fun, a lot of memories. And the hidden characters, I mean, there's quite a few of them. Armor King, P-Jack, Kumar, Hayachi, Lee, one of my favourites, Wang, and Devil Kazuya, Anna. I didn't unlock Devil Kazuya though this time. I tried it, but I just couldn't do it. And just these hidden characters, it was so good to have such a big list of other characters afterwards, and you would fight against them once you'd unlocked them, and it was like a completely different game. They were like the same characters, but they just had slightly different moves or a few things mixed up. And I love that, considering like Akuma out of Street Fighter and Reptile out of Mortal Kombat. There was a lot here to play with. And Street Fighter went back to its roots, as you notice with Street Fighter 4. Along with Mortal Kombat, they all went back to 2D, having the 3D characters. And it's good, it made them better, I guess, but Tekken remained the same. Again, it was always 3D, it had nothing to change, and it's still going on to this day. I regret that I never got too into Tekken. I played Tekken Tag Tournament up to Tekken 5 and Tekken Dark Resurrection, then after that I kinda stopped. I'm looking to get back into them again, to play them. Not so much online, but just to have fun on them. And if I do play online, I'm not too worried about losing, because I will a lot. There's some really good players out there that are way too good for me. And I just wanted to let you know of a unique fighting game experience. Something that literally changed me to 3D. Tomb Raider did it for just adventure gaming and, you know, action gaming. Then to fighting, I could never get into 3D fighting games, although I thought. But Tekken did that. It got me into them, and it was a unique game even today. And I see a lot of people playing it. I have friends that are really good at it, and it's something that's always dear to me. Something that I'll always play if I get the chance, and just so that you can always remember that old games are still good. I mean, they still have that value. It aged well, and it's a perfect game, Tekken. What I'm going to do now is leave you with every ending that took me ages to get up and record. And I hope you did enjoy the random stories for this truly unique game, Tekken. I'll see you later.